Hello, my friends. Did you know the object you use every morning and every night was once a luxury only emperors could afford? Imagine this. For thousands of years, people had no toothbrush at all. Some cleaned their teeth using tree sticks. Others rubbed salt on their gums with cloth. And millions simply lived with pain, rotten teeth, and terrible infections. Some people say the toothbrush is just a simple tool. Others say it quietly helped humans live longer, healthier lives. But here is the shocking part. The modern toothbrush was not invented in a palace or a laboratory, but inside a dirty prison cell by a man using a leftover bone from his dinner. His name was William Addis, and this story will help your English. Before we begin, comment, "Ready," if you brush your teeth at least twice a day. And subscribe for more real stories from history that improve your English naturally. More than 5,000 years ago, in ancient Babylonia, people already understood something important. A dirty mouth caused problems. They did not know about bacteria yet. Bacteria are tiny living organisms too small to see without a microscope. But they knew bad teeth meant pain, sickness, and sometimes even death. So they created a simple tool called a chew stick. It was only a small twig from a tree. One end was chewed until it became soft and brush-like. Simple, but surprisingly effective. Can you imagine that? The first toothbrush in history was basically a stick from the ground. But then, something fascinating happened. Different civilizations around the world began inventing similar tools at almost the same time. In Egypt, archaeologists discovered chew sticks buried beside gold and jewelry inside ancient tombs. That means oral hygiene was considered important enough to take into the afterlife. In Greece, the famous Dr. Hippocrates wrote about cleaning teeth using mixtures of vinegar, salt, and barley powder. It sounds strange today, but it showed something important. Ancient people were trying to solve the same human problem, tooth pain. And in many parts of the world, tooth pain was terrifying. There were no modern dentists, no painkillers, no antibiotics. An infection in the mouth could spread through the body and become deadly. Suddenly, the story moved eastward. In the Islamic world, a tool called the Miswak became one of the most important cleaning methods in history. The Miswak came from the Salvadora persica tree. For nearly 1,400 years, millions of people have used it daily. And here is the surprise. Modern science later discovered that the Miswak naturally contains antibacterial compounds and fluoride. Fluoride is a mineral that helps protect teeth from decay. In other words, people were using scientifically effective dental tools centuries before modern chemistry fully understood why they worked. Today, hundreds of millions of people still use the Miswak around the world. That is one of the oldest surviving hygiene traditions in human civilization. But then, in China during the Tang Dynasty, something even closer to the modern toothbrush appeared. Craftsmen attached stiff animal hairs to bamboo or bone handles. Not chew sticks, actual brushes. The bristles came from hogs living in cold northern regions like Siberia. Cold weather made the hairs stronger and stiffer, and strangely enough, that same principle still exists inside many modern brushes today. While Chinese emperors were brushing with advanced tools, Europe was far behind. Most Europeans cleaned their teeth with rough cloth, ashes, or salt. Sometimes they simply ignored dental hygiene completely. Tooth pain became so common that people prayed to saints instead of visiting doctors. Because honestly, what else could they do? There were no safe dental surgeries, no anesthesia. Anesthesia means medicine that blocks pain during medical treatment, no modern medicine. For many people, losing teeth was simply a normal part of life. Here is the surprise. Sugar made everything worse. As global trade expanded between the 1600s and 1700s, sugar became cheaper in Europe. People loved it, but their teeth did not. Cavities exploded everywhere. A cavity is a small hole in a tooth caused by decay. Rich people often had black, damaged teeth because they consumed enormous amounts of sugar. Queen Elizabeth I of England reportedly had severely damaged teeth because of her sugar-heavy diet. And then, a man sitting inside a prison cell changed history forever. The year was 1770. A businessman named William Addis was locked inside Newgate Prison in London. Historians are still not completely sure why he was arrested. The most common theory is involvement in public riots. But one evening after dinner, Addis noticed something. The people around him cleaned their teeth by rubbing dirty cloth mixed with soot and salt onto their gums. Soot is black powder created from smoke or fire. It barely worked. So Addis had an idea. After eating his meal, he secretly saved a small animal bone. He cleaned it carefully. Then he drilled tiny holes into it and inserted stiff bristles, using small wires and glue. Can you imagine that scene? A dark prison cell. Cold stone walls. A prisoner quietly building the first modern toothbrush from scraps. That moment changed the future of human hygiene. And the craziest part? It worked. When William Addis left prison several years later, he did not forget the invention. He turned it into a business. Soon, toothbrushes began spreading across Britain. Not just for kings, not just for nobles, for ordinary people. Suddenly, brushing teeth became something normal families could actually do. But even then, daily brushing was still uncommon. Many people owned toothbrushes, yet rarely used them. The idea of brushing every morning and every night had not fully entered society yet. And then science entered the story. In the early 1900s, a dentist in Colorado named Frederick Mackay noticed something very strange. Many local children had stained teeth. Brown marks covered their enamel. Enamel is the hard outer layer of the tooth. But strangely, these children almost never had cavities. Mackay spent years investigating the mystery. Eventually, scientists discovered the answer: fluoride in the water. Tiny amounts of fluoride were protecting teeth from decay, and that discovery would soon create one of the biggest medical debates in modern history. So far, what surprised you most in this story? Comment. A. Ancient people already understood dental hygiene, or B. The modern toothbrush was invented in prison. By the 1940s, scientists had become increasingly confident about fluoride. Research showed that small amounts added to public water supplies could dramatically reduce tooth decay in children. One American city decided to test it. Grand Rapids, Michigan. The results shocked the medical world. Cavities in children dropped massively within just a few years. You would think everyone celebrated immediately, but that is not what happened. Some organizations resisted the idea for years. Political arguments appeared. Medical debates exploded. Rumors spread everywhere. Some people believed fluoride was dangerous. Others believed it was one of the greatest public health discoveries ever made. Can you imagine that? Something as small as minerals inside drinking water became a national controversy. But then, the evidence became impossible to ignore. Tooth decay rates continued falling in communities using fluoride. Eventually, major dental organizations accepted the science, and suddenly, companies saw opportunity. A company called Procter & Gamble introduced fluoride toothpaste under the brand Crest. Instead of fighting scientific research, they funded more of it. Clinical trials expanded. Dentists began recommending fluoride toothpaste everywhere. And by the 1960s, brushing teeth was no longer just a personal habit. It had become part of modern civilization itself. But here is the surprise. Another revolution was already beginning. In Switzerland during the 1950s, a doctor named Philippe Guy Woog invented the first electric toothbrush. Most people think electric toothbrushes were created for luxury. That is not true. They were originally built for disabled patients, people suffering from polio, stroke damage, or severe physical limitations, often struggled to move their hands properly. The repetitive motion of brushing teeth became difficult or impossible, so Woog designed a machine that could help them. The electric toothbrush was not born from convenience. It was born from compassion. Suddenly, a medical tool slowly transformed into a consumer product. By the 1960s and 1970s, electric toothbrushes began entering ordinary homes. At first, many people thought they looked ridiculous. A vibrating toothbrush connected to electricity. It sounded absurd, but technology kept improving, and eventually, millions of people adopted them. Meanwhile, another important innovation quietly changed everything. For centuries, toothbrushes used animal hair bristles, usually coarse pig hair from northern China or Siberia. And honestly, those brushes had serious problems. The bristles absorbed water easily, they trapped bacteria, and they became soft and damaged very quickly. But then chemistry entered the story. In 1938, a company called DuPont introduced nylon toothbrush bristles. Nylon is a strong synthetic material made by chemical processes instead of natural animal products. This invention completely transformed toothbrush manufacturing. The new bristles lasted longer. They stayed cleaner, and they were cheaper to produce. But here comes the tragic part of the story. The scientist behind nylon, Wallace Carruthers, never truly saw the global impact of his invention. He struggled for years with severe depression and died before nylon toothbrushes became world famous. Can you imagine that? A man helps improve daily life for billions of people, yet never fully witnesses the result. History is filled with moments like that. People change the future without realizing it. But then, World War II accelerated everything. The United States military ordered soldiers to brush their teeth every single day. Not recommended. Required. Millions of young men developed the habit during military service. And when the war ended, they returned home, carrying those routines into ordinary family life. Their children watched them. Their families copied them, and daily brushing slowly became normal behavior across society. Here is the surprise. The science alone did not change human behavior. Systems changed behavior. Rules changed behavior. Habits changed behavior. That pattern appears throughout history again and again. By the 1990s, toothbrush technology entered another new era. An engineer named David Giuliani helped develop the Sonicare toothbrush. Unlike older electric brushes, Sonicare devices used extremely fast vibrations, more than 30,000 brushstrokes per minute. That number sounded unbelievable at the time. But here is the truly strange part. The technology originally came from industrial cleaning systems used for oil pipelines. The same fluid dynamics, once used to remove petroleum residue from steel pipes, were adapted to fight bacteria inside the human mouth. History works in strange ways. An industrial engineering principle became part of everyday hygiene. Meanwhile, companies like Oral-B and Philips Sonicare turned toothbrushes into global businesses worth billions of dollars. Toothbrushes became colorful, portable, battery-powered, smart. Some modern brushes even connect to smartphone apps and track brushing habits using sensors. Can you imagine explaining that to someone from ancient Babylon? A toothbrush connected to the internet. It would sound like magic. But despite all this modern technology, the heart of the story never changed. Humans have always searched for ways to reduce pain, prevent disease, and care for themselves. From Babylonian chew sticks, to Islamic Miswak traditions, to Chinese bristle brushes, to a prisoner carving holes into a bone inside a London jail, every generation added something new. And every morning when you brush your teeth, you are continuing a ritual built across thousands of years of human history. That tiny object beside your sink is not ordinary at all. It carries science, war, religion, trade, chemistry, medicine, and human survival itself. Today, brushing your teeth feels automatic. You probably do it without thinking. But history reminds us that even the smallest daily habits are connected to thousands of years of human struggle, discovery, and innovation. A simple toothbrush helped reduce disease, improve health, and quietly transform civilization itself. And maybe that is the hidden lesson behind ordinary objects. The things we ignore every day often contain the greatest stories. Thank you for spending time with this story today, my friends. May your future be filled with peace, success, curiosity, and of course, healthy teeth. Keep learning English through stories, lessons. Small inventions can completely change human civilization. Science alone does not always change behavior. Habits and systems matter too. Ordinary objects often hide extraordinary histories. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more hidden history episodes, and comment below. Which invention changed human life more? A, the toothbrush, or B, toothpaste?